Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on something that low-key affects businesses of all sizes, payment interoperability. Or, the lack of it, really. You guys sent in some super interesting stuff about all this, excerpts from pasted text laying out all the problems, and then a FinTech Futures article talking about SIBO's 2024, which explores some potential solutions.
It's funny, most people don't even think twice about how payments work until their card gets declined or a transfer takes forever. It's kind of like your smartphone. You just expect it to work. But behind that simple interface, there's this crazy, complex, global network of systems.
All right. And when those systems don't talk to each other, things can get messy. The FinTech Futures article said that almost 40% of companies have actually lost business because of cross-border payment issues. That's a ton of money just gone because the systems aren't compatible.
It is. It's a big number. And it shows how a lack of interoperability isn't just a tech problem. It really impacts a business's bottom line. We're talking about more cost, delays, frustrated customers. Even if you don't deal with international trade directly, you're feeling the effects. A report by, I think, insert name of organization found that businesses in the EU lose something like insert amount every year because of payment issues.
Wow, that's a big hit. So let's break down what those effects actually are. The pasted text excerpts go into how this lack of interoperability is hitting businesses practically.
For sure. Think about a small retail business. They want to get more customers, so they want to accept a lot of payment types. That might be all about mobile wallets or even crypto, but they just can't integrate all those systems. It's a barrier to entry, puts them at a disadvantage.
So it's not just about keeping up with the trends. It's about survival in a market that's changing fast. What about online businesses, those trying to go global?
That's a nightmare for them. Imagine dealing with payment regulations in every country, different currencies, and trying to keep track of all those transactions. It's a huge hurdle, logistically and financially. It can really hurt their growth.
And then there's the whole subscription model that's everywhere now. If your payment system isn't working well with others, those recurring payments can be a customer service nightmare.
Totally, in the service industry, especially with those recurring payments. Any friction in the process can cause people to leave. You're basically giving a gift to your competitors.
Okay, so we know that interoperability is super important. But the big question is, why is it so hard to get it working? If it's so good for everyone, why don't we have it yet?
Well, it's complicated. There are a few roadblocks. First, we have all these different payment systems, different rules, different protocols, different technologies. It's like trying to fit square pegs into round holes. It's not just about getting everyone to cooperate. There are real technical hurdles.
So it's not as simple as just getting everyone in a room and saying, let's make this work.
Not really. But thankfully, there are organizations like the ISO that are working on standards for payments. It's like making a universal language so all the systems can understand each other. The hard part is getting everyone to use these standards.
Right, because even if we have the same language, everyone needs to be fluent, so to speak. What about the legal side of it? Do regulations affect this whole interoperability puzzle?
Absolutely. Each region has their own rules about financial transactions, which makes global interoperability a legal maze. It's even more complex because these regulations are always changing. Businesses need to follow the rules to avoid big fines.
It sounds like a moving target. So we have these separate systems, changing regulations, anything else trying to stop interoperability?
Oh, just security concerns. When you're talking about sharing sensitive financial data across platforms, you can't be careless. One weak spot can put the whole system at risk, and the consequences can be awful.
That's a good point. Data breaches and cyber attacks are getting more advanced all the time. Making sure these systems are secure is really important. But I'm curious, what would a truly interoperable world look like if we got past all these challenges? The technical barriers, regulations, security.
Well, just imagine a world where you can pay for anything anywhere, no matter the currency or payment method. A world where small businesses can easily sell all over the world without dealing with complicated payment processes.
It sounds like a dream come true for anyone who has struggled with exchanging currencies or sending money internationally.
It could completely change how we think about money and payments. But like you said, there are big challenges to overcome. But there are also really interesting solutions and trends coming up. These could lead to a more interoperable future.
That's what I like to hear. So let's get into those potential solutions. What gives you hope for the future of interoperability?
One of the most promising things is that payment providers are working together more. They're starting to see that working together, sharing what they know. And even open source initiatives can help everyone.
That makes sense. If they all want the same thing, easy transactions, why not work together to make it happen?
Exactly. A great example is the The insert name of initiative. It brings together big names in the payments industry. They work on standards and promote interoperability. And then there's blockchain. It's decentralized and transparent. It could really change things for creating secure and efficient transactions.
Okay. I knew blockchain was coming up. It's getting a lot of attention. But besides the hype, how would it actually make interoperability better?
Imagine a system where every transaction is recorded on a shared ledger that can't be changed. No more middlemen. There's one source of truth. This makes things more streamlined and reduces errors and fraud.
Interesting. So it's not just about speed and being efficient. It's about making the system trustworthy, especially with all the data breaches happening. But blockchain is just one part of it.
Right.
What other tech advancements are helping with interoperability?
We're seeing open APIs becoming more common. These are basically standardized interfaces that let different platforms connect and exchange data, like a universal adapter. You can plug any device into any outlet, no matter the shape or size.
Okay. I'm getting the picture.
Yeah.
So we've got efforts to standardize, payment providers working together, the possibilities of blockchain, and the rise of open APIs. It sounds like things are starting to come together. But what about governments and regulators? What's their role in all of this?
They have a lot of influence. They can create policies that either help or hurt interoperability, like building a house. You need a strong foundation for everything to be stable.
So they could either be the architects of this interoperable future or accidentally wreck the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they need to create clear regulations, encourage innovation and competition, but also make sure consumers are protected. It's a tough balance, but it's super important for a healthy payment ecosystem.
Right. We need both progress and stability and safety. We don't want to rush into something that could backfire. But can you give some examples of how governments are helping or hurting interoperability?
Where? One good thing is that some governments are supporting open banking. This lets people share their financial data with other providers, which increases competition and innovation in finance. But some regulations can be too strict. This makes it hard for new companies to enter the market, and it can stifle innovation.
Sounds like there's still a long way to go before we have a truly interoperable world, but it's good to see so many people and groups working toward it.
For sure. And it's not just about efficiency. It's about making financial services accessible to everyone.
That's a great point. So we've talked about the challenges, the potential solutions, and the role of governments. What does all this mean for the future of payments? What trends are shaping the landscape?
One big one is digital currencies. There are more and more cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, that governments are looking into.
Right. And they all have different features, different levels of adoption, everything. How do we make a system where they all work together? That seems like it would make interoperability even harder.
It's definitely a challenge,
Yeah.
but also a huge opportunity. As these digital currencies become more mainstream, we'll need to integrate them with existing systems. This could lead to new frameworks and protocols that connect traditional and digital finance.
So it's not about one currency winning. It's about making them all work together.
Exactly. Imagine paying for coffee with Bitcoin, sending money to a friend with a CBDC, and still using your credit card online, all without any problems. That's what interoperability can do.
Okay. I get it now. But realistically, will all these currencies really work together someday?
Well, it won't happen overnight, but we're already seeing progress. Some payment providers are starting to let people use crypto on their platforms to buy and sell and even make payments.
So they're building the systems for this multi-currency future.
Yes. And as more people use them, we'll see more innovation and collaboration.
That's good to hear. But we can't forget about the other new technologies, AI, machine learning, the Internet of Things. How do they fit into all of this?
They could totally change the user experience, make payments more personalized, efficient, and secure.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Imagine AI systems that analyze your spending and then suggest the best payment options for you based on where you are, your purchase history, even your financial goals.
Like a personal financial advisor in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And machine learning can improve fraud detection and risk management by looking at lots of data. These systems can spot suspicious activity and stop fraud in real time.
That's a huge benefit, especially with online payments being so common. What about the Internet of Things?
Well, as more devices are connected to the internet, there are tons of possibilities for payments. Imagine your car automatically paying for tolls, parking, gas, all without you doing anything. Or your fridge ordering groceries and paying for them when you're running low.
So it's about making payments just happen automatically in the background.
Exactly. And for that to work, you need interoperability between all these devices, platforms, and payment systems.
Sounds super convenient. But what about security? More connected devices mean more chances for hacking and data breaches.
You're right. That's why security is so important. From the beginning, we need to make sure data is encrypted, transactions are verified, and people have control over their information.
So it's not just about making things work, it's about making them work safely and responsibly.
Exactly. And it's also about making sure these new technologies are accessible to everyone.
What do you mean?
Well, as we move towards this digital world, we can't forget about those who might get left behind. People who don't have access to technology. People who don't know how to use digital payments. And people who just don't trust these new systems.
So it's about making finance more inclusive.
Exactly. We need to make sure everyone can be a part of the digital economy.
That's really important. So how can we make sure this transition is fair and benefits everyone?
It takes a lot of different things. We need digital literacy programs, user-friendly interfaces, and affordable technology. We also need to make sure people feel comfortable using these new systems so they're not worried about privacy and security.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about society and the economy too.
Definitely. It's about using technology to empower people, not leave them behind.
That's a great point. It shows why it's so important to talk about these things and really think about what these new technologies mean.
I agree. We're shaping the future of payments right now, and we all need to be a part of it.
Well said. That brings us to the end of part 1 of this deep dive. We've talked about the challenges, the potential solutions, and even got a glimpse of the future of payments. But there's more to come. In part 2, we'll go deeper into those trends that are shaping the future of interoperability and what they mean for you and your business. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive on payment interoperability. When we left off, we were talking about digital currencies and new technologies and how they're shaping the future of payments. We're clearly on the edge of a huge change, but you mentioned that we need to watch out for the downsides and make sure this new world benefits everyone.
That's right. Technology is powerful, but we have to use it responsibly, make sure it helps people, not the other way around.
So true. Let's get back to some of those specific trends. We talked about digital currencies, but I'm wondering, how do you see them actually impacting interoperability? Adding more currencies sounds like it would make things even more complicated. Yeah, I see what you mean. But think of it this way. The more businesses and people use digital currencies, the more they'll want them to work smoothly with the systems we already have. This could push the development of new frameworks and protocols that make it easier to switch between all kinds of currencies, both traditional and digital.
So it's not about one type of currency taking over, it's about making them all work together.
Exactly. Imagine a world where you can pay for coffee with Bitcoin, send money to a friend using a CBDC, and still use your credit card for online shopping, all without any problems. That's the seamless experience that interoperability can create.
Okay. I can definitely see how that would be awesome. But let's be real. Are we really going to see all these currencies working together anytime soon?
It's not going to be quick, but there's progress. Some payment providers are adding crypto to their platforms so people can buy and sell, and even pay with digital currencies.
So they're building the infrastructure for this multi-currency future.
Yeah. And as more people use it, we'll see more innovation and companies working together.
That's good to know. But what about AI? Machine learning, the Internet of Things. How do those fit into this changing world of payments?
They can make the whole experience better for users, make payments more personalized, efficient, and safe.
Can you give me some examples?
Sure. Think about AI systems that look at your spending habits and then suggest the best way to pay based on your location, what you've bought before, even your financial goals.
Like a personal financial advisor right on your phone.
Exactly. And machine learning can help with fraud and risk management. It can analyze tons of data, find suspicious activity, and stop fraud as it's happening.
That's huge, especially with so many people paying online now. How about the Internet of Things?
With all these devices connected to the internet, there are so many new ways to pay, like your car automatically paying for tolls, parking, even gas. You don't have to do a thing. Or your smart fridge ordering and paying for groceries when you're low.
So it's about making payments seamless.
Yeah, they just happen in the background. But for that to work, all these devices and platforms and payment systems have to be interoperable.
It sounds super convenient, but I'm also thinking about security. More connected devices could mean more hacking and data breaches.
That's true. Security has to be a priority. From the very beginning, data needs to be encrypted. Transactions need to be verified. And people need to control their own information.
So it's not just about making things work, it's about making sure they work safely and responsibly.
You got it. And we need to make sure these new technologies aren't leaving anyone out.
What do you mean?
Well, as we move towards a more digital world, we have to think about the people who might not have access, those who aren't comfortable with digital payments, or those who just don't trust these new systems.
So it's about making finance more inclusive.
Exactly. Everyone should have the opportunity to be part of the digital economy.
That's important. So how can we make sure this change is fair and benefits everyone?
It's going to take a lot. Digital literacy programs, easy-to-use interfaces, and affordable technology. We also have to address people's concerns about privacy and security.
It's not just about the technology then. It's about people and how they fit into the economy too.
Exactly. Technology should empower people, not leave them behind.
That's a powerful thought. It really shows how important these conversations are. We need to think critically about what these new technologies mean.
I agree. The decisions we make today are shaping the future of payments, and we all need to be a part of it.
Well said. We've covered a lot in this part of our deep dive. We talked about the possibilities of digital currencies and other new tech, but like with any big change, there are always things we didn't expect and ethical questions we need to answer.
You're right, and that's what we'll talk about in the final part of our deep dive. We'll look at the potential risks and ethical implications of these changes in the world of payments.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into payment interoperability. We've talked about the challenges, the potential solutions, the exciting future of this connected world of payments. But as we discussed in part 2, there's always another side to these innovations, potential risks, unintended consequences, ethical dilemmas. Those are things we have to consider.
You're exactly right. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of new tech and not think about the downsides.
So let's talk about those risks. What worries you about these rapid changes in payments?
One big thing is that some people could be left out. As we move towards a more digital world, we need to make sure everyone can keep up.
That's important. We can't assume everyone can use technology easily or that they're comfortable with digital payments.
Right. There's still tons of people around the world who don't have bank accounts or don't use them much. And this move towards digital could make things worse for them.
So it's not just about making payments faster and easier. It's about making sure everyone benefits. How do we make sure that happens?
First, we need to teach people about digital technology and make sure everyone has affordable internet access and devices. We also need to design payment systems that are simple so people with different tech skills can use them.
Right. Not everyone's a computer expert.
Exactly. And we need to think about people with disabilities, make sure the systems are designed so they can use them too.
Good point. Everyone should be able to take part in this new digital economy. What other potential downsides are there?
Data security and privacy are huge. The more we connect things and share data, the more chances there are for breaches and misuse. Think about all the info in payment systems. Personal details, financial info, transaction history. It's a dream for hackers.
That's scary. We're seeing more and more data breaches, and the impacts can be really bad for people and businesses.
Yeah, so security has to be a top priority from the start. We need strong encryption, multiple ways to verify it's you, and other protections to keep information safe. And we need rules and standards, so payment companies are responsible for protecting data.
So it's not just about making systems work together. It's about making sure they're talking to each other securely.
Yes. And it's about giving people control over their own data. They need to know their info is safe.
Right. We're basically trusting these companies with our money.
Exactly. And on top of data security, there's also the risk that the whole system could fail. The more connected things are, the more complex and interdependent the network becomes.
So like a domino effect. If one part breaks down, the whole thing could collapse.
Right. That's why we need to make these systems resilient, have backups, regularly test for weaknesses, to make sure they can handle problems.
Makes sense. We can't risk everything on one system. What about governments and regulators? What can they do?
They have a big role to play. They need to create policies that support innovation, but also protect consumers and keep the financial system stable.
Finding that balance between new ideas and preventing problems.
Exactly. It's not easy, but it's essential for a healthy payment system.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's your advice for our listeners? They're trying to understand this world of payments that's so complex and changing so quickly.
I'd say stay informed, stay engaged, and don't be afraid to ask questions. We're deciding what the future of payments looks like right now, and we all need to be a part of that.
Great advice. And as consumers, we have to be thoughtful about the choices we make, support companies that share our values.
I agree. Our decisions have an impact.
A big thank you to our expert for walking us through all of this. It's a complicated and constantly changing world. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope you've learned something about payment interoperability and all the exciting possibilities. And the potential problems. The future of payments is in our hands. Let's make it a good one.